How do I find those high-paying ideal clients? That is the number one question I get asked. And today, I want to share with you one of the key ingredients to finding those ideal clients, and it has to do with finding your niche. I'm Pia Silva, founder of No BS Agency Mastery, where we help 1 to 2 person branding agencies scale to $30,000 to $50,000 months without hiring employees, cutting your working hours in half. Today, I want to talk about finding your niche and why it's so crucial to the success of your business. Most people ask the question, how do I attract clients who understand the value of what I have and will pay me the money to do it? But I find that's the wrong question. The question you should be asking is, how can I be that person that high-end clients want to hire? And the answer is you need to be seen as a cut above the rest. You need to be seen as an expert. How do you be seen as an expert? You need to pick a niche. Now, if you've ever done courses or business courses or read any entrepreneur book, I'm sure you have heard this advice before. You must pick a niche. For some reason, everybody knows it, but few people actually do it. Probably don't do it because either you don't know how to pick a niche, you are scared to pick the wrong one. Maybe you think by narrowing your focus, you're leaving money on the table. You may have picked arbitrarily before and it didn't work, and now you're back to square one and you don't want to try that again. Or you may think that picking a niche is boring. Who wants to do the same thing over and over again? Here's what I have to say to that. Having more clients than you can handle, who pay you top dollar to work with you, who hire you because you are an expert, there is nothing boring about that. And when you get to that point, you're absolutely able to expand. Nothing about this is forever. Nothing in business is forever, especially as a small business. Businesses are constantly evolving. So this is not your forever niche. This is your right now niche. Let's get you to $30,000 a month, and then you can expand and you can do whatever you want with all that extra money and time that you have. Okay? We're talking about what you need to do right now to get to that point. Now, if you don't pick a niche and own your niche, what's going to happen is your marketing is going to be infinitely harder. Nobody's going to listen when you speak. They don't have a reason to choose you over the competition that does specialize in their exact problem. And let me be really frank. You can't be an expert in something if you are constantly dabbling in all kinds of things. Those do not compute. Those are contradictory statements. But when you do own your niche, your marketing gets so much easier. It gets easier because you can be specific. You can speak specifically to your target market's problems and challenges. Great marketing is in the details. Let me give you an example. How many times have you possibly watched something in my marketing where I've said something that really spoke right to your experience? Because I used a phrase like scope creep, or I talked about a very unique problem that people in our industry have that people don't really understand in other industries, like how clients keep coming back to tweak the hue of a blue 10 times, and they'll know it when they see it. And they ask you to increase the font size and they want something to pop and they don't know how to explain that. When I explain these kinds of experiences, if I was saying that to a different industry, like the law industry, they wouldn't know what I was talking about. But because we are such a specific and narrow space, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it makes your ears perk up, doesn't it? I used to market only to small service businesses. And because of that, I had to stay more generic. I couldn't speak specifically about scope creep because not everybody I was talking to knew what scope creep was or even had that as a problem. So that's just one example of how when you get really narrow in who you're attracting or you're speaking to, you can be so much more powerful in your words and your marketing will just explode. The other amazing thing that happens when you pick and own a niche is that you know where to find these people. You're not just shouting out your window and hoping that the right person finds you. Exactly where to go and what to say in order to get their attention. And then when you get there, you're not some creeper just reaching out, trying to sell them something. It makes sense that you're there. These are your people. This is exactly what you specialize in. So you no longer become a salesman, you are a resource. When you have a great niche that you own, you can speak directly to your people and their specific needs, and you will stand out because of it. And this results in less effort and higher response. So let's talk about how to find that perfect for now niche, the niche that is going to take you to $30,000 months and beyond. The first thing is that most people make the mistake of thinking that a niche just means an industry. And that is absolutely not true. And probably the reason most people pick an industry arbitrarily and then it doesn't work. A niche absolutely can be an industry. It's very powerful when it's an industry, but an industry alone isn't going to work. Let me give you an example. Imagine if you were specializing in the IT industry. Okay, that seems pretty specific, but there are a lot of people in the IT industry. There are one-person consultants, like IT consultants, and there are $50 million IT companies. Just because you specialize in the IT industry doesn't mean you're going to stand out as an expert to both of those kinds of clients, which is why I kick the industry specific part to the curb. It is not necessary. It can be helpful, but it's not necessary. I prefer to start with thinking about the kinds of projects and the size of the client, because the goal of being an expert is that you are able to niche down and then repeat your process over and over again so you get really freaking good at it. And the only way for that to happen is that your process is repeatable. And that means that the clients you're working with similar to the rest of the clients. That's the only way to become an expert at something, is to repetitively do this specific kind of project. So what I like to do instead is look at the size of the client and look at the process that I'm delivering in. And if you can find a space or a niche that has a specific size client with a specific process, and you can repeat that over and over again, that is going to get you way farther than picking an industry. But you can't just do size and process. There has to be some sort of targeting of what kind of person this is. Thing is, it doesn't have to be industry specific. It can be personality specific. It can be a kind of person or an interest. It could be young moms in their 30s who like yoga. It could be people who are really into cycling. It could be people who are really rebellious. Our brand, Badass Your Brand and Worst of All Design, really attracts people who are really good at what they do and feel like badasses. They project onto us and they appreciate the way that we speak and how it's no nonsense and a little irreverent. It's not for everyone, but that is part of our marketing. And that's the market that we're going after. So if you look at the intersection of the size and the process and the market, then you'll start to see an opportunity that is much more interesting than just pick an industry. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is we want to make sure that our idea is validated in the market. And the way to mitigate your risk the most is to look at past clients. So I want to know, who have you worked with before? What did they pay you? Who paid you the most? Who was most enjoyable to work with? And which projects were you able to deliver the most value with? If you've had previous clients in this specific space or process or size or all of the above, then we already know, we've validated it. We know that those people are out there, that they are willing to pay and hire you, and they've actually hired you before. The benefit of having that knowledge before you go out and actually niche down is that this will work for you. And that gives you a lot of confidence as you go farther into that niche. So what I want you to do is I want you to list out your previous clients and start to look for patterns. Who paid me the most? Where did I enjoy myself the most? Where was I able to deliver more value than in other places? Take that list, look for those patterns, and then compare them to the idea of the size, the process, and the market. And you will find your perfect for now niche opportunities. Now, this is just the small first step in the No BS Agency Mastery Program. It is the first thing we do because it is so critical to the success of everything else. If this is something that you've struggled with and you could use help with, and then you want to know what's next, how do I scale to $30,000 months while staying a 1 to 2 person branding company? Let's see if this makes sense for you now or in the future. Until next time, I'm Pia Silva. See you next week.